to Comic Book Talk. I'm Andre, and I'm joined today by Uspa, Michelle, and Jermaine. And today we are going to talk about the latest installment of Captain Marvel, getting ready for Infinity War. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has finally added a female in her first solo movie role, and it just dropped a couple days after International Women's Day. So good job, Marvel, and we are going to talk about this film. We're going to give you some opening scenes, as well as then skipping some spoilers. So you've been warned, and let's get right into it. So first of all, I'm going to start with a question for everybody here. What do they know about Captain Marvel? Are you familiar with the source material? And let's start with Uspa.
No.
Don't know anything about Carol Danvers?
No.
Prior to the movie, nothing?
Mm-mm.
All right. Michelle?
Yeah, honestly, pretty much the same thing. The only Captain Marvel I was familiar with is the Muslim one.
Ms. Marvel, yes.
Yeah, so that, for me, I didn't realize they were two separate people. So that was kind of like a realization I had kind of when I saw the trailer. I was like, wait, that's not who I thought it would be. But that's really it, so like very, very minimal.
Okay, and Jermaine?
No idea whatsoever, just had no who was Captain Marvel.
Well, obviously, I guess I have a little bit of an advantage as a comic shop reader and store owner. So I do know who Captain Marvel is. I know who Carol Danvers is and all her different iterations. So if you are interested, you make sure you check out all the different forms that Captain Marvel had. In this one, we have seen her Captain Marvel form, obviously, but she was also Warbird, Miss Marvel, and I think she also went by, I think just Marvel as well at one point. Binary, yes, Binary, when she became a Herald of Galactus for a time. So, yeah, she is a lady with many different power sets, many different costumes, but she has always been a pretty kick-ass, take no guff type of person. And I think the movie portrayed that pretty well. So we're gonna do spoiler warning stuff. So this is gonna be actually spoiler free. We're gonna talk about how we like the movie, what was our favorite parts in the movie, as well as maybe some things that we didn't like. And I'm gonna start with Jermaine.
What did I like about the film? Well, I know going into the film there was a lot of buzz about how she is like the first female superhero in this, I guess, the Marvel series. I know a lot of people were giving that flack. But I quite enjoyed it because I feel like it wasn't so like in your face about it. Like they weren't trying to oversell the fact that like, hey, like, yeah, girls rock, or so to speak. And they played it off pretty well. So I really enjoyed how they weren't trying to shove that message down your throat. And too little time has elapsed since I watched the film for me to even think about what I didn't like about it. So
okay,
keep my mouth shut for that.
All right, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Uspa, how did you like the film?
It was okay.
Elaboration, please.
Okay.
That's enunciation.
Well, let's just start with the easiest question. Did you like it?
Kind of so-so. They went to all these Thor scenarios. They put too much humor into that. I kind of like they kept the universe coloration. So we know about Kree, how they do that, what's going on. So basically, they introduced the character, which is, I think, it's because they have the Scarlet Witch, right?
Yes, she was, yeah.
And the only thing when she actually does some cool stuff, when she's like emotionally stressed.
Correct, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just little bit, shy girl which does not do anything, basically, until some critical point. We have the Black Widow, mystery lady. She doesn't crack any jokes, just a couple skulls.
A lot of skulls.
Yeah. And you have this portrait, strong woman with I would say, good sense of humor. She's making unique. So she was cracking jokes before she became overpowered. and kind of I think that's a good point in the movie how they did that without because the fuzz on the internet about this being a feminine movie, and I didn't actually see that.
Yeah, I would agree.
It was
Yeah.
too much fuzz.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of people just bashing the movie just because of
that.
But I don't think they were shoving any agenda down anybody's throat. It just happened to be that she was who she was, and it was cool because she had the abilities. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she was a competent military test pilot, and they laid that foundation. They didn't just all of a sudden be like, oh, she gets to do this and she can do that. It's like, no, hey, we know her background. She can do these things. Even at the beginning of the movie where they introduced her and she couldn't sleep and she goes to fight her superior officer, at least it showed that she's got that kind of attitude, that
Yeah.
bravado, that she's like, yeah, one day I'm going to take you down. She didn't just elevate to beat him up with no
And
build
there
up.
is not, this. It's a pathos. It's a latent. Okay.
Oh, like a super patriotic type of the
just
flag blowing.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
too much with the
Like cliched
suits. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Suddenly they're like, ta-da!
Yeah, I'm a superhero. Worship
I
me.
didn't see that. It was
Yeah.
like kind of critical point, but there was not, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like there was nothing like this.
So that's a good point. for
It's
you.
a good point
Yeah.
because otherwise, we're not talking about some unique plot twist or something. It's pretty predictable. Plus, I have to give Marvel that they kept doing what they did with the Kree, with the space, because they didn't try to keep the big secret Kree is a bad guy. They introduced Ronin.
Yeah.
They hinted from the first side that the part of the crew of Captain Marvel, the Kree, whatever, militia, whatever they are.
Yeah.
There is a guy with the swords from
Guardians.
From Guardians.
Yeah.
So you immediately know they are the bad guys,
Yeah.
and they still went with that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think you're right. If people were paying attention and had seen all the movies, you should have had kind of this clue on
So,
what was really going on in that.
because they could hide the guy, they could not hire. They could not hire that actor, so they could keep the Kree race name in a secret and do a big reveal with Ronin.
Yeah.
They didn't do that.
Yeah. All right. So, Michelle, what did you think about the movie? Did you like it? Well, let's hear what you liked about it.
Yeah, overall I liked it. The thing that worried me, or my biggest concern going into the movie, is I knew a lot of it was sold on the female superhero thing. Like that was my drive to see the movie, and I was a little bit concerned because that itch had kind of already been scratched by Wonder Woman. And I was like, cool, like I have my female superhero movie and I feel really good about it. Like, am I gonna get that same kind of joy in seeing another female superhero movie, which I don't think there's too many of them, but I was a little bit concerned that I wouldn't have that kind of joy or that feeling that I had with Wonder Woman. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. Honestly, to reiterate what Jermaine said, it didn't push that like girl power, but there were slight moments where as a
Yeah.
girl, I was like, ooh, yay, like
Yeah.
this is for me. And like, it's a tiny little thing and most people probably wouldn't notice that, but it was that little like, here's a little nugget for you.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. So overall, like pretty good. Enjoyed it for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess I'm the last one to talk about it for did I like the movie or not? And I think visually this movie is on par with all of Marvel's other big budget movies. I would think that just because it was set in the early 90s, I guess.
1995.
It's got some things aren't as fancy looking, like the car chase scene and stuff. But again, it made me believe that they were in that time era. And of course, it's not as shiny as Infinity War, but it's not supposed to be. But her costume was fantastic. The special effects on the Skrulls were very, very well done. And I think overall that the movie was. I think it's a pretty decent solo movie. Like if I cut it away from the MCU, I think it's a good movie. Once I try and rationalize it and put it into the timeline of all the other Marvel movies, that's where a lot of things kind of fall apart for me, but we'll get into that after. We're going to talk a little bit now about what we maybe didn't like about the movie. And I think this time I'm going to start with Uspa because I think he probably had some things that he wasn't too happy about.
And here is where all of the spoilers are going to start. So if you don't want spoilers, click away,
Stop
Yeah.
watching.
mute it, do something, because
Yeah,
this
we're
is going to
gonna-
be spoiler
Yeah,
city.
we have to go into the nitty gritty, and that's going to reveal some stuff.
Couple of jokes were forced, like with this cat gag. That was so forced.
Yeah.
How many times did they do that? Like 7?
Probably closer to 10, but
Yeah,
that's
it was a
okay. Let's say
lot.
7 to 10 cat
Yeah.
jokes. Yeah.
That was forced. And yeah, I understand it's supposed to be a funny family film, but they went Thor on that. You know, the Thor Ragnarok, what they did, like this, they take serious plot and just fill it with jokes, and some of them's too forced. They not necessarily need to be in the plot. They went smart with this. They went with the helmets, adjustable to the atmosphere. The last scene, she in space. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Where was her helmet? Yeah.
Like you did everything right before that.
When they went underwater,
Yes,
they had the
everything.
masks, and then but
And
you
when
know,
like the spaceship like bust open and she like went out and her mask came
Yes.
off.
Yeah.
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 But also she got to fly into space with her leather jacket that can break
That bothered
atmosphere.
No, that's a-
me.
that's a
That was amazing, you know. Like,
I-
oh, here, let me just
what?
put on some old military leathers,
This
and
is
I
fine,
can,
this is
and it's
old.
not going to just deteriorate.
ketchup on it,
Yeah,
it's fine.
it's been protected.
It's the
yeah.
ketchup that
Yeah.
helps it stay intact. You know?
But they
That's it.
cleaned off the
Oh,
stain.
right.
So,
Oh,
yeah, oh no, but
Plus Marvel. What? Before that, radiating spider. Okay, done. Superpowers. After that, gamma generator. Got it. Now, spaceship generator engine fueled by Tesseract to get the superpowers.
yeah.
How far they can go?
Seemed
Yeah.
like a stretch for sure.
I just got the spider.
Yeah, pretty limited.
Okay, I have to go next.
All right,
because
Michelle, you're
mine
on.
is kind of
Fire
similar.
up. Fire up.
I love cats. I'm a super cat person. I freaking loved the damn cat.
Yeah.
But it like they spent all this time building up this rapport between the cat and Fury, and they're like, oh, like Fury's so cute with the cat. It's so great. The cat's like protecting him. Blah 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 blah. Then just turns around and scratches his eye out. Which for me was I was livid because I
Yeah.
knew I was like, okay, his eye's probably gonna go. And they kind of played at it when he got into the car accident. Like, oh, his eye's a
How's
little
your
bit
eye?
messed up,
Yeah.
but it was okay. And then like that's how it happened.
Yeah,
and I
that
get it was trying to be funny, and like afterwards he's like, oh, like trying to play it off like it wasn't a cat that scratched him or whatever
Yeah.
creature the cat actually was. But that to me was such a cop out.
Like a cheap.
Yeah,
joke.
it was
Yeah.
lazy. It was honestly very, very lazy, and that really like, I kind of turned me off just from Fury in the movie in
Yeah.
particular. I was like, really, that's what you're gonna do? Like, you have this character that we're so familiar with this great piece of information that you can do whatever you want with,
yeah.
and that's kind of what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And
I
that
think
just
that's
pissed
where
me
the
off.
joke was too, right? Like there, like in all of the universes, like Fury has his eye patch, and like no one knows how he lost his eye. And like you said, like they could have done anything with that, but they chose to do the cat thing. Like I think that could be like it could either make you laugh out loud or it could completely turn you off. It's like an
I
like
think
hit
it
or
turned
miss joke.
everybody off. I think that
Yeah.
was just ridiculous.
The cat had no reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
She was.
they were building this
eating whatever.
relationship between
Yeah.
the cat and him. Like, they're so great. It's protecting him. Like, everything's amazing. It's like taking the Tesseract for him, and it's like so
Yeah.
good. And then just
Protect
decides, you know what, fuck your eye.
I guess though, if like you're a cat person, I don't have pets, but I guess I hear that cats are really finicky, and if they're mad at you, they'll just. But again, this
But
isn't
it's
a
not a
fucking
cat.
cat.
It's not an actual cat. It's a
freakin' or
firkin.
It's a
firkin.
flickin' or whatever. Yeah,
Frickin' stupid
Yeah,
thing.
it was pretty. I think that was a very lame part of the.
Yeah, it reminds me of 80s hentai.
Only 80s hentai.
Only
Very
then.
specific.
All right, Jermaine, what did you not like about it?
I guess it's like I have an issue with almost every Marvel movie. Like Uspa said before, it is a little bit. It's like pre-packaged and everything super like clean cut, and it's predictable, right? Like there's no darkness to it, like maybe dare I say like some DC universe things, and I kind of feel like that's lacking for me. Like I like to see people's like super dark past, and like it's all just kind of glazed over in the film. And that's kind of like how it is for most Marvel films. I feel like there's too much focus on humor and not enough backstory, and that can kind of make you feel less connected to.
Well, the characters don't feel real because
Yeah, exactly.
basically
Star pilot, everything's
every
great.
character
da-da-da.
in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since I believe Iron Man 1 basically became a Peter Parker archetype.
Yeah.
Meaning that if you know the character of Spider-Man, he's always cracking jokes to alleviate the tenseness of the situation. However, every superhero in Marvel in the movies became a wisecracking person, with the exception of probably Captain America.
I'd say also Iron Man when he was like really messed up after the events of Avengers. Like that was like
No, but
closer.
Yeah, it was close, but it was a moment. But it's his whole character is they're all slapstick. You know, even Doctor Strange, he started very serious and then he still cracked a couple of jokes. And then you even look at what was that? Like Thor. The only one that really to me made sense was the Thor #1 humor. Because he's like, bring me a dog that's as big as a steed. That's funny because it's a man displaced. But then for this to keep going and I would say, I guess, because it's kind of my turn to talk about things I didn't like. I think they totally wrecked the Nick Fury persona. Like you've got Nick Fury in every movie we've seen him in. He's this total badass guy, and you don't just have him being badass over the course of 2 or 3 years. You know that this guy's been badass for a long time. One of my favorite Marvel movies, actually my favorite Marvel movie is Winter Soldier, thus the hat and the shirt. And I'm like, you know, that scene where Fury is in the elevator and he's telling Cap the story about his uncle or his grandfather. He's like, he carried a freaking 9mm in his bag and he's like, we've got to protect the world. And this guy's all business, right? And then this, which is like what? 15, 20 years earlier, the dude's cracking jokes all the time. He's talking about a cat. In that fight scene in the records room, the dude don't even have a gun. I'm like, what the kind of secret agent don't got a damn gun? Like at that point, when he figured out that the guy beside him was a Skrull, man, that was our moment to see Nick Fury kick ass. We didn't see Nick Fury kick anything, you know. And I'm like, this is an absolute. This is a joke. Like this is awful. They basically made this movie. Oh, we're gonna have a buddy cop with Carol Danvers and Nick Fury, and he's like, oh, put on this hat, and then she makes the joke about S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm like, you know, the movie can have both comedy and seriousness, but they just decided to make it all funny, and we never got any character moments from these people. Like when Carol Danvers realizes that she's been mind. She doesn't even react.
She takes it
She takes it so well and stuff like that. Like there's this great moment where Monica Rambeau is showing her all of the photos, and I'm like, this is a great moment. Have her sit down and just hold her head and go, oh my God, I've missed so much. You were my aunt. This is my family. Like have her tear up and go, oh my God, I remember that. I remember I got this for Christmas. Let us feel something human towards this character, but we don't get it. And I'm just like, what? Like seriously? And then and wow, like that really bothered me in the movie. And the other thing that bothered me is kind of like plot stuff. I know they're fitting this movie into 10 other movies that have come out over time and stuff. But hey, you guys have written all of this stuff. Make it work out. Make it fit together. How are you going to tell me that Marvel died and that cat stayed in that place for 6 goddamn years? Who fed the motherfucking cat? Right? This cat was obviously Marvel's cat.
It's like a monster thing, who knows what it does.
Yeah, but again, it's obviously Marvel's cat, right? So maybe they thought, oh, well, Marvel died or whatever, so we'll just let the cat roam around. And then you do the same thing. The Kree cannot find Marvel's space station, but it's their cloaking technology. So they can't even detect their own cloaking technology, and they knew she was on Earth. They sent Jude Law's character to Earth to either get the engine or stop her. You didn't scan the planet, you didn't scan orbit, and then those people have been in that space
Dude, you're
station
just
for
chilling
6
for 6
years?
years.
What are you eating? Now we have to be like, oh, I guess it's like Star Trek. They have a food making thing
Yeah.
and stuff.
You have to make a
And
lot of assumptions.
You have to make so many assumptions because it doesn't fit. And I'm like, so in 6 years, nothing went wrong with that space station. Like an asteroid
the
didn't hit
Tesseract
it.
is so powerful,
It
it's
didn't
fine?
do anything. Yeah, it's just. I was just like, come on, you guys
I
wrote
have
this
a
stuff. You know.
question. I have a question, and
All
I
right.
feel like you can answer this, but this is something that I caught in the movie, where Nick Fury meets an alien, right? There is proof that there are aliens,
Yep.
right? Fast forward to when, I think it's when he meets like Thor, and he's like, oh my God, there's like life outside of our universe.
Yeah.
And he's like so rattled by that. And I was like,
Yeah. No,
did
dude. Yeah.
you forget that you
Yeah.
met
That's exactly.
aliens and all of this, like everything happened in this movie?
Well,
and I
not
thought
a-
that was kind of like,
Yeah, they like again.
I know they did it out of order,
Yeah,
and it's
but-
hard, but like that was
no,
kind
but
of
it shouldn't
sloppy.
be hard because again, they Marvel set up when they did their Agent of Shield show and they did their Agent Carter, especially Agent Carter. We know that Shield was partly built by Peggy Carter,
Right.
so we know Shield goes that far back. If Fury's part of Shield and they go forward, and they know that they're trying to protect the planet from threats from anywhere. Domestic and I guess foreign and now ultimately outer space.
Intergalactic.
They don't at that point like Fury it's just oh hey here's an autopsy and it's like one dude and it's just like chilling. None of them are freaking out. Oh this is most life forms are carbon based. The guy's not
Yeah.
freaking out. There's a green
Yeah.
alien.
So
They're not
casual.
panicking. There's no guards. There's no thing, and they're just poking at it. They don't have suits on because this
Yeah.
guy could be spewing something, decomposing. Nothing. It's just nonchalant. Not like Shield. Like they don't have like anything. And I'm like, what the hell is
Like,
going on?
not an element found on Earth. Let me just touch
Yeah,
it.
let me look at his junk. Oh yeah, that's a man. So yeah, the serious tones of this movie was just they
erased.
missed it,
It's not there
and
at
I
all.
think that really kind of hurts it for me. And again, now when Carol gives him the pager, I'm like, how does Nick Fury know? She says, oh, in a big emergency, so. Into New York in
Yeah,
Avengers 1.
Loki's doing all
big
his
enough.
shenanigans.
Not big enough. Like, oh, this giant space race. The Chitauri are coming. Nah, I don't need to call Captain Marvel. We got this. We got Thor. We got all ground-based dudes, and there's an invasion hitting New York. Nah, we can handle
She can take
this.
out like an
Someone with
entire
space powers.
armada of
Yeah.
space, but no, it's fine. We don't
Yeah.
need her. She's good. She's chilling elsewhere.
How are you supposed to know that?
No, but that's the thing. Fury should have been calling all the goddamn time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but from
Right?
a movie's point of view, like you make an Avengers, maybe it's gonna blow.
Right.
Yeah.
But I get you. I see. So how are they going to know that they were going to get to this point? The fact is, they are at this point. So when they were writing this movie, they should have said, "We need to have a way for Nick to contact her if something goes down, but make it make sense in the context of the thing of their universe." It's not like they're the person who is. It's not like Kevin Feige isn't there going all around. But I don't think they are connecting the dots. Do you know why? Because everybody just wants this funny movie. Everybody wants to go ha ha, chew the popcorn. They don't care if the movie's going to make $1 billion. So they don't really care to give us a movie that actually fits and is tight. Because again, when she goes, "Oh, I'm going to find you Skrulls a planet," how many years has she been gone? If you said the movie takes place in 95,
It's like 20 years later.
25 years she hasn't come back. And then in all those 25 years, she never ran into a dude named Thanos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Thanos is
Just casually
killing
out there.
planets. 50% of the population never done it. Right? The Guardians of the Galaxy. What about the Nova Corps? In Guardians, they established the Nova Corps, which are space cops. Those guys aren't testing with the Kree. Those guys aren't protecting planets. So again, they've got this big sandbox universe. When you write a movie after, you got to make sure all your shit's connected. If you don't do that, then a guy like me is going to watch it and be like, okay, yes, it's a very pretty picture. It's like if you were reading a book. Like, could you imagine reading like Game of Thrones and he just skips a part of it and be like, yo, how come Jaime Lannister got a golden hand now? He never explained that.
Yeah.
Right? You would be like, what the hell? Or hey, how come Bran comes back and he's riding
No one likes Bran, it's fine.
an elephant instead of a dragon? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
But I
Like
have
you can't skip that stuff. And I really feel that again that it's terrible that they do that because this has been the only or one of the very few I think I'm going to say only where we've had a series of movies that could build chronologically on the last one. And they give us that great scene at the end where they're still trying to contact her, and we've got Captain America, we've got Black Widow, and we've got Hulk, and like, we don't know what this thing does, and blah, 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 and then she just shows up.
I liked
and
that.
Then no, that was cool.
Like a good kind of pulling it together
it's
for
like
me.
at that point, you're like, okay, yeah, she came and she got there. And I'm like, I think that's what this movie needed to do with establishing a link to Infinity War and Endgame. And I think this movie was just to let people know who she was and that she has these powers, but I don't think it did enough to kind of scratch the surface of making anybody know about who Carol Danvers is as a person and as a hero. She's just comes across now as like this living weapon. I think that's how it came across for me. So yeah, those are some of the things that I definitely didn't like about the film, and that's why I say it's a good standalone film or whatever. But once you start to try and put it in order with the other stuff, it just raises too many questions. And I think that they should have been smart enough to make sure that we didn't have those, like,
Or
say,
like have
hey,
people double check.
have people double
okay,
check.
are my questions answered?
Yeah, exactly, right? How does this fit in? And again, maybe they say, oh yeah, you're too critical. But again, these movies are made by a ton of people, and there should have been people that should have said, hey, you know what, this doesn't kind of make
Or we need
makes
to come up
sense.
with an answer for this, or we need to make sure that all the timelines match.
match up. Yeah.
I picture them like having like one of those maps of like serial killers with like the red string of like this is
See, you
this.
know what?
But they're like missing some
No,
things.
I don't think they have that. They need that. I really think they need that.
But
There were, okay, so before we move on, there were two things I wanted to mention that I noticed in the film. And I had this conversation with someone else who's seen the film who is a male, and they didn't feel like these scenes had as big an impact as I felt they did. So I'm curious what you guys
Ooh,
think.
Cool.
So, and this goes back to like the whole feminine agenda, whatever, but these are the little nuggets that I think they threw in there for us ladies. There was the scene where she's reading the newspaper. Outside,
yeah.
right? Okay,
Oh.
outside the store, and the dude rolls up on a bike. And he says to her, why don't
put
you
a
smile for me? Does that mean anything to you guys? Like, was that like, did you even remember that scene until I said that?
I remembered the scene. It kind of just, like, I know the guy was almost like trying to catcall her, like, oh, look pretty, look like a, oh, you look good in your,
Scuba
in
suit.
your
Yeah,
scuba
he said.
suit or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's I guess a nod to catcalling. I was almost hoping that she would have just, smacked him or slapped him or whatever
I'd
at that
hope
point,
too.
but yeah.
Yeah, that was one scene that I was like, okay, that's so key to the female experience. And I was like, I love that they threw that little thing in there, that happens like to every woman. So that was huge for me.
But she
Like,
doesn't do anything about it.
She steals
though.
his bike, which for me was like, okay,
But
I
that's
wish she'd
kind of
smacked him,
wrong. Yeah,
honestly.
you know what I mean? Like, that's like that.
Yeah.
but it's been done so many times.
Yeah, every-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, okay, I'll allow the fact that she didn't like beat him up, fine. Like
Yeah.
just steal his bike and like be done with it.
I think that was a smart choice made by Marvel, though, because I think they knew that people would give the movie if they were trying to be too feminist about it. So, like, even in the film, they did like interesting parallel, right, where Jude Law's character is like kind of looking down on her or being condescending because she's human, right? So they put that parallel in there to kind of ease the whole, oh, being a woman, you're less than a man.
You're
kind
too
of-
emotional
Yeah,
as a
exactly,
woman.
exactly. But they put those two themes in there together, and I thought that was a really smart way to kind of not make the film seem like, hey, women are just as good as men, and it's true, but you
Yeah.
know, it doesn't always need to be so like forefront.
In your face.
Yeah.
And then like the final confrontation between the two of them when he's like, fight me like 1v1 me, bro, essentially, without
Yeah.
your powers. And it makes it seem like she's
like,
going to.
"Fuck that."
And then she doesn't.
Yeah.
And she tells him, like, I don't have to prove myself to you.
Yeah.
And that to me, and like, maybe I'm reading into it, like, whatever, but that was one of those moments where, like, you don't have to, and not even just as a woman, as a person, you don't have to dumb yourself down or
Hey,
like
that
be
was-
less.
That was like
right?
Indiana Jones. I don't know if you remember that scene where the guy's got the knife and he just pulls out the gun and shoots him. Yeah,
Yeah.
damn right. Why am I going to fight you if I can blast lasers at you? Like,
exactly.
that
Why would
dude
I
should
do
have been
that?
dead. Like, I would have been like off
exactly.
with his head, right? So.
But you see so many times in those types of movies where they're like 1v1 me, and then they do
Do
that,
it,
and they
yeah.
have this like really tight fight, and
Fight,
it's like,
yeah.
oh no, who's gonna win? she was so much stronger that I was
Yeah.
just like, why would you waste your time with this person? So I loved that personally, and I was like,
Although I feel like Jude, like in that fight scene at the end where he's like clearly lost, his demeanor is, I feel like, a little bit lacking. Like he's just in the spaceship. He's like, you don't have to do this, and I didn't really find that realistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
His
on that note,
performance,
we
yeah.
talked about. Let's talk about the performances we liked. Did anybody surprise you acting wise, or did you find somebody's performance lacking? or
Okay, I gotta
lackluster?
say, that little girl, Monica, what the f was that? Like, she was so like, I'm sure you want to be a good example for your daughter, don't you? Like, no, like how
No
old is
kid
she?
is that cool.
I know, no kid is that cool.
yeah,
Kids
mom,
like
go
that
to
don't
space and
exist.
die.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm good. I got this.
That
Let's
was
go to Grandma and
weird.
Grandpa's house.
Yeah.
I get what they were trying to do with her.
Yeah,
like I
I know.
get it, but they went so far of like, "Fuck you, mom." Like, go leave. Like,
So I'll give you a little. I think why they made her that cool is because
she'll become-
Monica Rambeau
Because
is
girl time.
the voice over the things that she becomes Captain Marvel. She gets
Right.
powers and she becomes a character in the Marvel universe. So that's why when they kept saying Maria Rambeau, I'm like, no, the character's name's Monica. And then I see her as the kid, and she's got in the comic book
okay.
she has an afro. She's in a character from the late 80s and stuff. So I guess it's kind of a nice nod to that. If you're a comic book fan, you'll know. And she's like, maybe one day I'll build a spaceship, and she does.
Okay.
Or she is an astronaut.
I'll
you know.
allow it then.
But yeah. So, but I guess child actors and acting is not the greatest. But was there anything else? Anybody else that shocked you in the movie, or not shocked you, but just performances you liked?
Oh, let me think about that. I just that scene where she just tells her mom to like, oh yeah, go to space and die. That really stuck out to me. But yeah, I'll think about it. I'll let you guys.
Uspa. Ben
Ben
Mendelsohn?
Mendelsohn, the scroll.
the scroll guy.
Yeah, Batman, nothing.
Good try. Nice.
I think when you play a character with the mask, by the way, I appreciate they did the old-fashioned mask instead of CGI. When you can notice the actor behind these thick masks, you know they're doing a good job.
Right.
Sam is like the Grinch, the Jim Carrey movie. Movie was it was okay, but the performance of Jim Carrey, for all this makeup, you still could read it was him. Same here. Behind this, like deep, lots of makeup, you can still determine the actor. And he was great. I like him. An unpopular opinion. I think in this movie, Samuel L. Jackson actually played more Samuel L. Jackson, like person in real life.
Oh, okay.
Because if you see I think he kind of did a little intake on the role of Nick Fury.
Yes.
I think he had a part into the script actually, because that's based on his interviews or his Google answers. That's basically Samuel L. Jackson.
So he was playing
He was
more
playing
the
Samuel L.
yeah,
he was playing the real Samuel L. Jackson
Yeah.
instead of
Persona,
motherfucker
yeah,
Samuel L.
yeah.
Jackson that he gets all the time. Okay.
Plus, in terms of performance, yeah, you got a point with this Fury persona. Like it was no one, and yeah, that's what I didn't like. But in terms of the character development, I kind of like to see Fury be this, naive, saying, kind of see the roots. But because he's a motherfucker. Like, I will fuck you up. I don't care who you are, where you come from. But some people actually, to become this strongest dude, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
What I didn't like the timeline, because see, if Shield was not popular, was a joke of his organization, maybe in the 80s after the golden era passed, but he still has the clearance for every.
He should, yeah.
yeah.
If it was like, maybe there was some when he passed in the gates for the security military base, if the person on the other side of teleprompter cracked some joke about the shield, that would explain why
that it's a joke, why it's not taken seriously.
It's an easy fix. On the paper I kind of need, like I have to let you in, but you're a joke.
Yeah.
There's nothing happened for like 50 years.
Yeah.
It will explain why he doesn't have a gun, why he's so naive, why he does crack these jokes. And I like in the end, like he adopted this persona of the I fought 1,000 comrades and got this scar by fork, but
Yeah, it changes the mythos and the legend.
I like his intake on the role. I
Yeah.
like how he performed. Like it was ups and downs. It was a roller coaster,
Cool.
which is liked. Yeah, like
And Michelle, what performance did you like from the movie?
Like, I don't want to be like nobody, but there wasn't a performance that I thought couldn't have been done by someone else.
Okay.
So there wasn't anything like super standout, not in a bad way,
Yeah.
but I don't think anyone was necessarily like, oh my God, this movie wouldn't exist without this
that
person.
person, yeah.
Like you get, say, with like Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, like those are two synonymous things for me. Whatever, you have your opinion.
I know.
But there wasn't that for me, so
Yeah.
there wasn't anyone that I felt like couldn't have been played by someone else. So not really, but then in terms of like performance I didn't like, and I don't know if this is so much the actor's fault as much as the direction, but Ronan, I hated. Because to me, Ronan's like really badass and like super, super cool. And then when they're having that final showdown and Ronan like looks to his goon and they're like, oh no, like they had this like
yeah.
stunned look. That completely threw me off.
We've never seen a person fly in space before
Yeah, and
with
like,
towers
just-
around them. Like, what about the Shi'ar Empire? What about Gladiator?
Like
What about
you're
all
Ronan,
these guys?
you don't care,
Yeah.
honestly. Like
He
for you to
should've-
break that kind of like
Yeah.
icy demeanor for that was kind of just
He should have been like,
disappointing.
"Get me my hammer."
Yeah, he should be like, okay, like let's do
Let's
this,
do this,
or okay, we're not going to do this, but I'm not going to look at you like, oh,
Yeah.
like that was silly. to
Yeah, so it
me.
wasn't really the actor; it was more so the part.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're like play it really scared or just do whatever feels right to you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like how that scene came about, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
I will come back. Let me get my makeup.
Let me like get a little bit bigger.
woman. Like,
Jermaine, have you thought of anything that you liked, or would you like me to go next?
no, you can go next.
All right, so
I'm just-
pleasantly shocked to see Annette Bening. I thought she played a really cool character, especially when she was the AI, the Supreme,
Supreme Intelligence?
the Supreme
Oh, yeah,
Intelligence.
you're right,
I think
yeah,
she did a good
that's-
job, but I've got a soft spot for her. Like, so it was. I didn't know she was in the movie, so I thought she did a really cool job, and especially because they had to, she swapped back and forth and had some different
Yeah.
emotions and stuff. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of her character. But again, the purist in me, and I have to start looking at these movies and TV shows of superhero stuff as like a multiverse version of the characters, because Captain Marvel was a guy and he was like the greatest like superhero. I grew up loving him, and they did a cool job in order to, I guess, make the movie and give Carol a kind of a new origin. But now we'll never get a chance for the true origin of Captain Marvel and the true greatness of Marvel. And I think that kind of saddens me a bit, because I think as a store owner, I know there's going to be people, if they like the movie, like, oh, can we get the book where we get the origin of Carol Danvers? And she's like, well, hell no, you can't, because it didn't happen like this, like at all. The parts that they did get right is that the original Carol Danvers is a pilot and she does meet Marvel, but she's injured and she gets her powers through a blood transfusion from his Kree blood. So they kind of segued a little bit of that with Jude Law's character. He said, it's my blood that saved you. And the explosion that did damage the comic book character was kind of caused by Marvel. So I guess they kind of combined the two things and did it. So it's an okay origin, but you've totally changed who Marvel is. But I think her performance was good. And I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised as well by Brie Larson's performance, because I was expecting her to be girl power this and overselling everything. I was a little bit afraid of that, but I think she played the part like okay, but meaning I don't think it was a standout performance, but I don't think it was just a over the top performance. And you're right, maybe somebody else could have done the part, but I guess I'm just shocked that.
What would be
I hate
an
to say
over-the-top
I didn't hate
performance?
it.
Like, how could she have done better? Like, do you think?
I think again, I think given like a better script, like I was telling you guys about emotional moments, about having a character just like she's just always kind of cracking wise and not taking anything serious, and she adapted really well to getting down to earth. You know
Right.
what I mean? But because once she started having these memories, like once she saw that picture of herself, she was just like, oh,
She's like, look at this.
look at that, you know,
Whoa.
like it's just like to me, she like at that point she like almost if she questioned. But again, that's maybe that script. I don't think that you can blame it on her. But I'm glad she didn't, you know, just tote around as I got photon blasts and I'm gonna, do that stuff. You know, a couple times when she got her fully fledged power and she whooped when flying, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool
You'd be excited.
because
I'm
you would
like,
be
yeah,
excited. I thought
I like
that was
that.
I thought that was cool. But yeah, and it was kind of nice to see a couple differences of the costume from the comic books make it into the movie and stuff. So those were the people that I would say I enjoyed. I like Ospa said, I don't think Samuel L. Jackson was bad. He was definitely played a different dude than Samuel L. Jackson because I guess you're right. Every movie
Origin
he plays
story.
Sam Jackson,
Yeah.
but in this one he's playing kind of like a funny Sam Jackson as opposed to stoic, super serious bad mofo Sam
Yeah.
Jackson. So. All right, so we're going to move on, and that ends our spoilers. So now we are going to talk about some of our kind of feelings and interpretations that we had after the movies, and a couple questions to see if what we would. Did the movie inspire you or motivate? Motivate, it's a better word. You to check out the source material. Did you get enough to know you want to check out Captain Marvel?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, like I said, I've never read any of the Captain Marvel comics, but yeah, I thought they did like a decent enough job to make me want to be like, oh yeah, I'd check it out.
I'm actually a no. It didn't make me not want to check it out, but it didn't motivate me in any way. I liked the movie a lot, but I felt she served her purpose in that movie for me, and that was good enough. And I'm kind of over it now.
Uspa?
I kind of want to know what she did for 25 years.
So
Yeah.
you're more curious about the movie continuity than checking out her
Yeah.
comic book roots.
No, not really. Because see, I understand the character was rewritten so many times, and where are they gonna go with this? I don't know. Or I become like you. I know the source material. I don't like anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because nothing compares.
Yeah, that's why I stopped reading Harry Potter books before the movie came out, because I read the book and I hated the movie.
Yeah, that happens
So,
quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. If Marvel will send me 3 comic books, I will read it. If not, probably not.
Probably not. All right, so let's get to the part where would we recommend this movie to others? Let's start with Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this would actually be a really great movie to introduce people who maybe don't watch comic book movies into the movie. It's kind of an easy, like they're all easy to understand, but I feel like you didn't actually need to know too much about the extended universe
Yeah.
to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like skip the after credit scenes and it's kind of like whatever. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Like it's one that I would like my younger sisters to watch.
Yeah, like
specifically.
younger kids,
Yeah.
younger girls, I would definitely
Yeah,
recommend
for sure.
that
Younger
too.
girls who maybe don't have interest in that type of thing, just kind of forcing them into it and seeing what they think. I
Good
think.
gateway drug to,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a great way to introduce people, like people who, like my grandparents, like people who are not, it sounds crazy, but people who are not interested in that type of movie, I think can get something from it and can really
Yeah.
enjoy it for what it is.
Jermaine, I'm taking that's a recommendation from you as well.
Yeah, for like young girls. Yeah.
Only young girls? You wouldn't
No
say
one else is
anybody
allowed to watch it. Ladies
No,
only.
you're allowed to watch it.
Why
Yeah,
are you
no, it's good.
sexist? Why are you sexist?
Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah?
But like, I'm kind of just like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Do you want drugs? Watch the movie.
Uspa, would you recommend this movie?
Depends. If you are starving, like most of us nerds, for some serious Marvel work, I mean some dark, because we basically we got all the fun. We had 10 years to have the fun and predictable plots. And Deadpool and the Netflix series, they showing the darker movies can make the buck. We discussed
Right.
it earlier or after. I don't know.
Previously, at some point.
We discussed at some point. If you want something with much more sense, or you're looking for something dark, that's not your movie. If you have a person who has no idea about superheroic movies, that's the way to go. Like that's easy to understand. It is not so connected to the previous movies like the others are. even the origin of Thor, you kind of have to know the idea why it is happening, what's going on. And the Hulk, the same. The Iron Man. The Iron Man, yeah, that's a starting point. The Iron Man.
Like there's not a lot of like substance there. It's just like fun to watch.
Fun to watch.
Which is okay, but
Actors are okay. The character is strong, independent.
Yeah.
So you can actually develop herself instead
Right.
of relying on some bigger stars or bigger characters
Right.
like Bucky. Without Captain America, how you can develop Bucky?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so that's a 50-50 to
Yeah.
recommend to some and recommend. For me, I think that if you're a fan of the superhero genre, I think you will go and check out the movie. But I think if you're looking for something that is
something less topical.
something that has, it's going to sound really bad, something that has qualities,
Yeah.
like movie qualities and stuff like that.
Something you can sink your teeth into.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
I just don't think that, like, it's definitely like really far on the popcorn fluff side. If you're a person that, you've seen some of the Marvel movies, but I feel that you don't have to watch this one. I think if you're excited for Avengers and you've just been spooning up and eating up everything, then for sure you can do it. But if you just watch the big ones and the ones that are buzzworthy and worthy of checking out in the theater, then I'd say this. So I think it's kind of a 50-50 for me as well.
Okay. Finished up with a score out of 10.
Oh,
I'll go first. I'll give it like an 8.5. I liked it. I liked the movie. It was entertaining. It made me feel good. And that's what I want from that type of movie. I'm not going in wanting to cry. So, yeah.
Uspa, you're next.
I will give it a 6.5, and I throw in an extra point for homage to Stan Lee.
Oh yeah, that was really
yeah.
nice. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
That was really touching.
Yeah. Jermaine.
I would say if you're looking for a movie that is just fun and games, you just want to laugh and be entertained, I would give it an 8. But if you're looking for something that goes just beyond the surface, I'd give it like a 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it slots in between a 6 and a 7 for me because, again, the effects were good and it does deliver what you expect from a Marvel movie, but it doesn't deliver anything close to what you expect from the upper echelon of the Marvel movies.
There's nothing new.
Yeah, there's nothing new,
Yeah.
and I don't think even as important as it being Captain Marvel, I can't see this movie breaking into anybody's top 5 Marvel movies.
Oh, no, definitely
Right. So yeah, so that's it. So, well, there you have it, folks. That's been the Lunchbox crew reviewing and talking about Captain Marvel. So hopefully, you've enjoyed this video, and maybe you're going to go and see it and make up your own mind. We'd love to hear from you. Comment below, check us out on all the socials, and let us know what you think about the movie, or if you disagree or agree with what we've said. For the Lunchbox, I'm Andre.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Jermaine.
Bye.
And that's
Bye.
Uspa.